And I think the same can be said for Nahshon Wright, who started off the game really, really slow, gave up on a play. He was covering Chase Claypool, pretty much beat him off the jump. He thought Claypool pushed him. He, like I said, gave up on the play. So I think that probably scared a lot of Cowboys fans. Also, Nahshon Wright has been doing some good things and some bad things in training camp. So confidence is key for Wright. He proceeded to sniff out a reverse and cover extremely well later in the game, most notably his coverage on a 35-yard pass down the sideline to Isaiah McCoy in the third quarter, followed by a tackle short of the first down marker the very next play that resulted in the drive's end. I mean, that's huge for a guy like Nahshon Wright, who I forget how late we drafted him, but wasn't really high enough for him to be considered like the guy that's going to shift this defense.
Yeah, he was a third-round selection, which turned a lot of heads, and the team and the organization got a lot of flack for it. You know, they thought that was too high. There was scouts and scouting websites saying, you know, I wouldn't have taken him till the 5th, 6th, 7th round, you know, undrafted free agent, you know, and the great Dane Brugler of The Athletic, he evaluates hundreds of prospects in the draft, and he didn't even know who Nahshon Wright was, if that gives you any perspective. But the guy has tremendous upside, and that drive-ending tackle that you had brought up, that was the key play for me. A big, skinnier guy, I don't expect him to make those open field solo tackles, but he did. And that's just one small little play, small sample size that I can overreact to just as, you know, a football nerd, that a smaller corner, a DB that's not Jamal Adams, is running up, putting his shoulder down and making that solo tackle on a beefier receiver. So I like what I saw despite the getting burned and giving up on a play. That's a rookie mistake. We can move on from it. So I'm willing to forget and forgive. So,
Elliot, I know you're somewhat high on Nahshon Wright. Anything from this game that stood out to you outside of just covering really well towards the end of the game?
Yeah, I'm glad he bounced back too, and he didn't let his poor start really, you know, put him down. But it's the fact that the coaching staff threw him out there into the fire like that and trust him this early to go out there and learn from those same mistakes that, I mean, they're going to happen. It's part of the game, especially being a rookie corner. You're going to make mistakes, and you got to have short-term memory to be a good corner in this league. And the fact that he could put those mistakes behind him so quickly and throughout the game and get better is already a good sign as it is. And like Alec mentioned, that he could come up and make that tackle, considering him being tall and lanky. You know, we need guys that can tackle. Obviously, tackling has been a problem for a long time. And for him to come out and be aggressive and be an aggressive tackler, that's very important for his development and even more important for the team defense. So, I mean, yeah, like you said, he had his issues, he had his faults, but he took it with a grain of salt. He kept going, and he just kept improving throughout the game. So if he can build on this performance throughout these next preseason games and throughout training camp, it'll be interesting to see where he's at before the season starts.
And speaking of rookie corners, another one the Cowboys drafted pretty high, second-round selection, Kelvin Joseph. Didn't see much of him in this game. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm going to assume it's a good thing because the less you see of someone probably means the better they're doing. And in Kelvin Joseph's case, he's on Chase Claypool. What's his name? Is it Deontay Harris or Smith?
Maybe. Yeah.
I think it was Smith.
I don't know why, but I always get those last names mixed up. Regardless, those are two really, really good receivers, and to not see Kelvin Joseph at all, in my opinion, it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I know he got to camp. He might have missed the mini camp, I believe, at the beginning of the year. But it was, I wouldn't say concerns, but it was a question mark seeing how he would be coming into training camp and with the team. And like you said, if he's already getting held out of meaningless games, means he's going to be playing in games that really matter. And for him to be a second-round pick and our highest drafted corner this year, it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure on his back. So I'm honestly excited to see how he does in the next preseason games. I mean, I know they all really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but seeing him get that opportunity in those snaps, I'm really excited to see where Kelvin Joseph is and to see that the athleticism and the ball hawking skills he had at Kentucky to see how that could translate to the NFL.
Yeah, Kelvin Joseph, he's a unique cat. I've heard a lot of talk of this guy's first round talent if he wasn't a SoundCloud rapper, which is beyond me. But I know there was some concerns, and with him being coachable, yada yada yada. You know, I think when your defense is hurting this bad, I think taking the chance on him in the second round, I think that was good value, and I think honestly, once this guy's in shape and he's ready to ball, once a week, every Sunday, I think this is going to prove to be a pretty good draft selection. I'm not going to say that he's the steal of the draft yet, but I will say that you got good value there. You made the right pick, especially considering I wrote a whole article on USA Today's Cowboys Wire that you needed to go get Trayvon Merrick for your secondary out of TCU, and the Raiders jumped us one pick ahead. I think you saved day two by making that Kelvin Joseph selection, despite any talk that scouts had, character concerns, blah, blah, blah. Through the interviews and the media that he's done, I think he's a guy. I don't think there's anything up with him, and I believe him when he says that he's here to play football. So I think his best days are ahead of him. His best game in college was covering the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, and that's where his best tape came from. And I think that if anything, in a scheme like this, he should fit well. And with a coach like Dan Quinn, I think the sky's the limit with him.
And one thing about Kelvin Joseph that I worry about is kind of similar to Trayvon Diggs, where the football IQ is not as high as you'd like it to be. He gets fooled quite a bit on double moves, starter steps. I noticed early on in the game, and I don't know how long Kelvin Joseph was in the game because there was no snap count available to us at this current moment in time. But I did notice early on that there was a lot of short outs that I would see him behind. So I don't know if that's him getting fooled on some double moves because the camera wasn't on the matchup. So we don't know what was going on there. I can only assume that's the case because he is a rookie playing in his first technically NFL game, even though it's a preseason game, still an NFL game. So those are things that I personally would like to see Kelvin Joseph get better with. Obviously, this is a second-round receiver that I just mentioned has football IQ problems. So you're not going to see this dude lock down receivers like he locked down Devonta Smith in college. There's going to be some growing pains along the way with Kelvin Joseph.